Hello and welcome to the news cycle on Global Television, live in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I am Judith Peters. The federal government has approved 5 billion naira for each state of the federation in form of grants and loans to alleviate the effect of the fuel subsidy removal on vulnerable Nigerians. This is apart from the ongoing distribution of 5 trucks of grains, fertilizers and other food items as part of immediate palliative measures to each state in the country. Our correspondent has the details. Governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, stated this as part of the issues raised and agreed upon during the National Economic Council meeting presided over by Vice President Kashim Shettima.
In order to cushion the effect of the subsidy removal, the federal government of Nigeria has released 5 trucks of rice to each state last week. Furthermore, in order to cushion the effect of food shortages across the country, the federal government has approved the sum of 5 billion naira to be given to each state for the procurement of 100,000 bags of rice, 100,000 bags of rice, 40,000 bags of maize, and fertilizers.
There was no way you were going to avoid forex volatility, as it were. We just printed 22, 23 trillion naira pumped into the system with nothing to back it by way of ways and means, which was what happened under the previous regime. There is no way you will pump all of those and not expect prices, inflation, and exchange rate to give way. This is a very important point that people we must all appreciate. And so I believe that the central bank is doing its utmost and probably expecting naira stability.
The country's investments to GDP ratio, the crude oil exports and refined petroleum products have dominated Nigeria's trade structure. And also the position of the naira against major trading currencies deteriorated.
The council also expressed concerns over the refusal of over 15 states to submit the report of impact of the 2022 flood in their respective states. Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello hinted that the federal government would soon release funds to states affected by floods, while the next secretariat would embark on an on-the-spot visit to the communities.
Climate change is a reality. NEC recognized that, Nigerians recognize that has come to stay. What are states doing to mitigate against the effect? Every state is affected. And let me tell you, before any palliative or before any assistance comes from any donor agency or federal government, every state makes effort to ensure that we take the peoples off harm's way.
The council was also briefed on the state of the excess crude account for the past 1 month, which stands at $473.754 million, while the natural resource account to date stands at 115.176 billion naira. Welcome back. And now the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has said education is a Nigeria primary tool against poverty. The president also noted that his administration remained determined to embrace the prospect of digital economy and telecommunication, which he described as the future. Tinubu, who received a delegation from global tech giant Google, said his administration would leverage digital technology to create Nigeria's desired socio-economic progress that is necessary to transform society. He called on Google to partner with the government on the use of data in the public sector to enhance service delivery. The president stated that the prospective use cases emanating from the emergence of artificial intelligence and quantum computing must be enhanced, even as he emphasized that the development is achieved in stages. Also, in a bid to create a forum for dialogue towards resolving issues surrounding the petrol subsidy removal across the state, the National Economic Council, NEC, has constituted an ADHOC committee to engage with the leadership of labor unions. The decision was reached at the 135th meeting of NEC chaired by the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima in Abuja. Our correspondent has the details. The committee comprises the Nigeria Governors Forum Chairman Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, Governor of Anambra State, Chukwuma Soludo, Chairman of Progressive Governors Forum Hope Uzodima of Imo State, PDP Governors Forum Chairman Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State, and Abia State Governor Alex Oti. According to Governor Zulum of Borno State, the Vice President charged the committee to liaise with the leadership of labor unions in the country to find a way forward on the emerging issues and the interests of the nation.
The Council has also tasked the state to dialogue with the labor unions leadership. A committee made up of Anambra State Governor, NGF Chairman, and others have been nominated to interface with labor. The most important thing that the Council has taken note is that all these palliatives that are being mentioned now are temporary solutions. Council has decided to invest on medium and longer term sustainable solutions that will ensure availability of food and non-food items in Nigeria, especially investing in commercial agriculture and also investing in irrigated agriculture. NEC is calling on Nigerians and indeed labor to become law-abiding, as the President is determined to address the issues at hand.
While noting various interventions of the federal government across the country, the Council urged states to upscale the distribution of palliatives towards alleviating the suffering of citizens, especially vulnerable groups. Also, the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, is currently presiding over the National Economic Executive Council NEC meeting in Abuja. The meeting being held at the Council Chamber of the Presidential Villa, Abuja, has in attendance governors from across the Federation and other stakeholders. The meeting is expected to address some of the pertinent economic challenges in the country occasioned by the removal of petrol subsidy. Also expected to be discussed are security challenges across the country with recent attacks in some parts of the north. Journalists have been excused from the meeting and are waiting to be briefed on the outcome. The NEC meeting comes about 24 hours after the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPC) announced that it secured a $3 billion emergency crude repayment loan from African Export-Import Afreximbank. And now the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will on Monday, August 21st, 2023, swear in his ministers. And the event is billed to hold at the State House Conference, Aso Villa in Abuja, by 10 a.m. A statement on Wednesday by the Director Information Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Willie Bassi, said the ministers are allowed to come with 2 guests each. The scheduled arraignment of the suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, at the Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja on allegation bordering on 6.9 billion naira procurement fraud has been stalled due to the absence of second defendant. Saidat Yaro, Global TV's Sharon Ajay, reports that Consul to the federal government and Director of Public Prosecution of the Federation, Mohammed Abubakar, told Justice Hamza Muazu that Mrs. Saidat Yaro took ill in the morning and is unable to make it to the court.
Abubakar apologized to the court and applied for a new date for arraignment. The request for an adjournment was not opposed by Emefiele's counsel, Akilo Lukende, and the counsel of Sedia Tuyaro. Justice Mahazu subsequently fixed August 23rd for the arraignment. Emefiele, who entered the court with white kaftan, made frantic efforts to evade cameramen in and outside the court. While the prosecution counsel declined interview, defense counsel provided insight of what happened in the court.
The charge was filed in Lagos In the wisdom of the complainants, the federal government of Nigeria, they decided to withdraw that charge. A ruling is being expected this morning before the Federal High Court in Lagos in respect of that application to withdraw that charge. Now they brought another charge before the FCT High Court, a 20-count charge against the same person, against the same embattled governor of the central bank, and one other person. Now, the matter was meant for arraignment this morning, but two things played out, which clearly showed that the complainant itself was not ready for the arraignment. The second defendant was not made available. The second defendant was not in court. And it is right that all the defendants in a charge must be present to take their plea. And consequently, the complainant on its own requested for an adjournment for the arraignment to be done at a later date. And so we didn't oppose that application. The arraignment will now come up on Wednesday, 23rd of this month, Wednesday 23rd.
Operative of the Department of State Service, DSS, who brought Emefiele to court under a heavy watertight security to avoid security breaches, returned him to their custody immediately after the proceedings.
Thank you. And the military high command says no fewer than 3 officers, 22 soldiers were killed in Niger State, while 7 were wounded in action by terrorists. Major General Edward Buba, the Director of Defense Media Operations, revealed this to our defense headquarters while keeping the journalists abreast with the operational activities of the Nigeria military and the theater of operation in Abuja. Kikelemo Okere has the details.
Major General Edward Buba stated that the Nigerian Air Force helicopter that crashed in Shiroro area of Niger State had gone to the scene to evacuate the victims before it crashed. He, however, vowed that no group could attack its troops and go scot-free, adding that the 14 previously killed soldiers were in the jet during the crash.
Discover what caused the plane crash. After that, you can be sure that that will be communicated to all of us. To use superior military force to eliminate any group or groups that constitute a threat to the safety of citizens and forces alike. Lastly, I will say that no group will strike own troops without injurious consequences.
The Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force, Air Commodore Edward Gaboit, called on those aiding and abetting the propaganda tendencies of terrorists by spreading the video of the alleged crashed site with gory pictures of dead military personnel to stop, saying such action can demoralize the troops.
The Nigerian Armed Forces have continued to be very open about its operations, and athletes in military operations are nothing for any military organization to be ashamed of. We're fighting an insurgency, and if anybody thinks insurgency is something that is tackled in such an easy way, then you should go back to the history books and find out how other nations have been facing the same problem. What we see in other countries is the citizens of those countries rallying around the armed forces and supporting them. But when we come back home, it's so unfortunate what we see some of our citizens do. It's as if there is a kind of joy that we derive when the armed forces have this kind of mishaps. What do we get from that? Are we going to be happy for these terrorists to come and, override our communities, take over our communities? Is that what we want? Where is it?
Speaking on the troops' operation, the Director of Defense Media Operations says during the week under review, the military neutralized 28 terrorists, arrested 92, 6 gun runners, 3 kidnappers, 6 collaborators, and 7 perpetrators of oil theft.
Troops also rescued 82 kidnapped hostages and denied oil thieves the estimated value of over 870 million naira. Troops equally recovered 108 weapons and 556 ammunition.
He noted that the ongoing operation is aimed at curtailing the activities of violent extremist groups fomenting insecurity in the country, adding that the troops will continue to respond with overwhelming military force to any group that threatens the safety of citizens and the nation's forces. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News, Abuja.
Thank you very much. It's still the news on Global Television. The Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, Benue State chapter on Wednesday called on government at all levels, political leaders and traditional rulers to help in the release of one of their members abducted 3 weeks ago. A medical doctor, Dr. Asema Msuaga, was abducted in the Ukon local government area of the state 3 weeks ago while he was embarking on a malaria program supervision at a primary health center. The association, in a statement signed by its chairman, Dr. Shakuma Nega, stated that the abducted doctor was the only medical doctor at Hospital Sankera, adding that he had been in captivity for 25 days. The NMA threatens to down tools if the kidnapped medical doctor was not released. Also, the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, on Thursday advised motorists to replace worn-out tires and wipers in order to prevent affordable auto crashes during the raining season. The FRSC spokesman, Assistant Controller Corps Marshal BC Kazim, who made the call in Abuja, advised drivers to always ensure their vehicles are in good working condition before embarking on a journey. He also advised that the windshield wiper and blades should also be checked for proper functioning. Kazim also appealed to motorists to shun negative attitudes and habits like drunk driving, smoking of hemp and cannabis, dangerous driving, overloading, exceeding speed limits, or use of phones while driving. Also, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development Secretary General Rebecca Grynspan yesterday urged African economies to key into intensive global supply chain to boost prosperity. The organization made the call during the launch of a new report which highlighted that the continent become a major exporter of higher value-added goods, creating growth, jobs and fueling a rise in productivity and wages. Grynspan insisted that the move would offer a better future for African economies, adding that diversification is key to private sector development and employment opportunities for the continent's growing population. She highlighted factors driving the huge opportunity for Africa to include countries and businesses seeking to diversify their supply and reduce risk. The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, yesterday disclosed that the oil rig, which capsized on Tuesday at Owerri in Warri State, had been operating on the nation's waters illegally since 2016, and a press statement by the head public relations of the agency, Osaige Edward, on Wednesday said the majestic rig belonging to Depwise Nigeria Limited had been operating since 2016 without requisite approval for the regulatory agency. According to him, the master has, however, dispatched a team of search and rescue and marine accident investigation officers to the scene of the incident. You're watching Global TV News Cycle, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Saturn's channel 276. Kindly follow us across our social media platform at Global TV NG. We'll be back with more stories for you after this short break. Please don't go nowhere. Welcome back. is still the news cycle on Global Television. And now the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited on Wednesday announced that it had secured a $3 billion emergency crude oil repayment loan from the African Export-Import Bank. It said the loan would be used by the oil company to support the federal government in stabilizing Nigeria's exchange rate. It was also gathered that the facility would also help in reducing the pump price of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol. Impeccable resource at the oil firm also told our correspondent that the loan would boost the imports of petrol into Nigeria, as oil marketers further confirmed that the facility would tackle the seeming re-emergence of subsidy on petrol. Nigeria's exchange rate has been an issue of concern lately, with the dollar rising to over 310 Naira at the parallel market, while oil dealers have been complaining of non-liquid nature of the importance and exporters' official window of the Central Bank of Nigeria. And now on the foreign scene, the Foreign Affairs Minister in Germany has thrown its weight beyond the European Union sanctions against the Niger Republic military junta. Annalena Baerbock of the Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs of Germany said EU foreign ministers are expected to discuss the Niger situation, including sanctions, at a meeting in Toledo, Spain on August 31st, 2023. In comments posted to X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, and Foreign Ministry on Thursday said its minister, Annalena Baerbock, has held talks with African Union Chair Moussa Mahamat, the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, and other stakeholders about the coup, in that the EU, one of the biggest providers of aid in Niger, said last month it was suspending security cooperation and financial support that has been set at €503 million in 2021 to 2024 to help improve governance and education. More than 60 people are found dead after a boat carrying migrants was found off Cape Verde in West Africa. 38 people, including children, were rescued with footage showing them being helped ashore, some on stretchers on the island of Sal. Almost all those on board the boat, which was at sea for over a month, are thought to have been from Senegal. Cape Verde officials have called for global action on migration to help prevent further loss of life. The vessel was first spotted on Monday, police told the AFP news agency. Initial reports suggested that the boat had sunk, but it was later clarified that it had been found drifting. The wooden Paraguay-style boat was seen almost off Sal, a part of Cape Verde, by a Spanish fishing boat, which then alerted authorities. Police said the survivors include 4 children aged between 12 and 16. A spokesperson for the International Organization for Migration said the boat left the Senegalese fishing village of Fars Boye on 10th July with 101 people on board. Senegal's foreign minister said on Tuesday, citing survivors. Also, the world's longest rail tunnel has been shut to passenger services after a derailment in Switzerland, causing damage that will take months to repair. Swiss authorities said there was no indication when the Gotthard-based tunnel was reopened. 16 carriages derailed and are still stuck inside a week after the derailment on 10th August opened in 2016. The Gotthard rail link took 20 years to build and cost more than $12 billion. National Swiss Rail Operator SBB Chief Executive Vincent Ducrot said on Wednesday that Gotthard was one of the safest tunnels in the world. An investigation is being led by the Swiss Transportation Safety Investigation Board STSB and the Public Prosecutor's Office of the Canton of Ticino. Rail Operators SBB said in total around 8 kilometers of track and 20,000 concrete sleepers need to be replaced. One of the largest cities in Canada's far north is being evacuated amid warnings that a wildfire would reach it by the weekend. The 20,000 residents of Yellowknife, the capital of the Northwest Territories, have been given until noon Friday to leave. As of late Wednesday, the fire was within 17 kilometers or 11 miles of the city. Another fire is threatening the community of Hay River. One evacuee told the CBC her car began melting as she and her family drove through embers while fleeing the town. The Northwest Territories declared a state of emergency late on Tuesday as it battles more than 200 wildfires. Shane Thompson, the region's environment minister, told a press conference on Wednesday that the fires are taking another turn for the worse and now represented a real threat to Yellowknife. Also, more than 100 people have been arrested in the city in East Pakistan after thousands of Muslim-born churches and vandalized homes. Violence in Jalwala was sparked by claims that two Christian men had turned pages from the Quran. The historic Salvation Army Church was still smoldering on Thursday, one day after the riots. Runs have been surrounded with barbed wire as the situation remains tense in the city. Public gatherings have also been restricted for 7 days in Faizabad district, which includes Jalwala. The two men accused of damaging the Quran, Islam's holy book, have not been arrested, though they have been charged with blasphemy, which is punishable by death in Pakistan. Even though Pakistan has yet to sentence anyone to death for blasphemy, a mere accusation can result in widespread riots, sometimes leading to lynching and killings. A local official told BBC Audio that authorities had received calls about protests and fires early on Wednesday morning after reports about the desecration of the Quran circulated on social media and in the city. Authorities said torn pages of the sacred text with blasphemous content allegedly scribbled on them in red mark ink were found. The House of Representatives Committee on Sport on Wednesday pledged to wade into the crisis over unpaid bonuses to national football team's player by the Nigeria Football Federation chairman. House of Representatives Committee on Sport, Ekene Abubakar, stated this in Abuja at a meeting with the NFF at the National Assembly complex. The committee and the federation agreed to work together to find lasting solution to the recurring issue of unpaid bonuses of all national teams players. When asked to explain the issue surrounding the non-payment of Super Falcons player in their recent World Cup outing, NFF President Ibrahim Gusau said the money owed to players would be paid as soon as the federation received grants from FIFA. For more on sport, Fidelis Yeguana is standing by.
Former Senator John Eno has been confirmed as the 36th Minister of Sports Development prior to the swearing-in of the new ministers on Monday.
Will the Senate approve the nomination of Senator John Owaneno, representing Cross River State, for appointment as the Minister of the Government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The 57-year-old former senator who hails from Cross River State represented the Central Senatorial District of Cross River State in the 8th Assembly that ran from 2015 to 2019 and was previously a member of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. The one-time governorship candidate in Cross River State succeeds Mr. Sunday Dari as Minister of Sports Development. For Global Television News, Fidelix Yeguana reporting.
And that's it on Global TV News Cycle. Do not forget we're on StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across our social media platform at Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your TV screen. On behalf of the production team, I am Judith Peters. Thank you so very much for watching. Have a pleasant day.